Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Wakar Kudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Shalom to the hopeful elect, pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the globe in the sincere hopes of being delivered in these last days. Alright. Now here I have this article taken from the official Bank of England.co.uk website, and as you can see, it's entitled "The Digital Pound: Speech by John Cunliffe," and it was published on the 7th of February 2023, yesterday. And as we know, this is the year, the hopeful year of all prophecies coming to pass, as coined by Elder Apostle Tahar. All right, so we're in a very, very heavy time, and this article and the information that's spoken upon, in this speech by John Cunliffe, who is the Deputy Governor of Financial Stability. All right, the information that's covered in this article further proves and shows you, how close we are to a cashless society, and how close we are to the mandatory implementation of the CHIP, all right, the Revelations 13 and 16, the MOTB, okay, because in this article, in this speech, you're gonna see how they are thoroughly laying down the fundamental building blocks for this new world order system to breathe. Okay, they're laying down those fundamental building blocks in order for this beast system, this new world order system, to fluently breathe and exist. And they're putting in place, particular policies and plans that's going to further push you people out there against the wall. Okay, it's going to push your backs against the wall, and it's going to force masses of the people to be in the position where you're going to have to make a decision on whether you're going to bow down to the system, or whether you're going to go against the system. All right, so there's going to be a very obvious dividing line that's going to be created in society. All right, and this is known as the hour of temptation, spoken of in Revelations 13 and verse 10, which, Lord willing, we will get after we read through a couple of excerpts from this article. Now, it is a very lengthy article, so I'm not going to go into every single highlight that I've highlighted, but what I will do, Lord willing, if I remember, is I will post a link for the article in the description box, so your Akim can delve into the article, if you wish, and read it for yourselves. All right, because there's a lot of stuff that's mentioned in this article. There's a lot of points of interest, some of which we're going to go into, and this further this shows you where we're at in the grand scheme of things concerning biblical prophecy. And that's why it's so important, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, that we watch and we pray, as commanded us by our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai. All right, we were commanded to watch and to pray. All right, and that's exactly what we're doing when we go into articles. All right, when we go into reports, when we research particular policies and laws that are being put in place right under your nose. All right, we're doing our due diligence to make our calling and election sure, and to adequately, report back to the hopeful elect, to the sheep of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, what the enemy is planning. All right, because this is our job. All right, we're set up to be watchmen unto the nation of Israel. All right, as outlined in Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 17. Okay, now without further delay, it says the digital pound, speech by John Conliffe, and he has the title of Sir, and he's the Deputy Governor of Financial Stability, as you can see here. So I'm going to skim through this, and then Lord willing, we'll get into some scriptures. So it says here, this is the first highlight. It says our assessment is that on current trends, it is likely that a retail general purpose digital central bank currency, a digital pound, will be needed in the UK. This would be a new digital form of money issued by the Bank of England for use by households and businesses for everyday payments. Okay? So there's no, shadow of a doubt that this digital pound is actually coming. Okay? And it's definitely going to be manifested in the very, very near future. Now, you already have all of these digital pilots that are taking place by these different nations throughout the four corners of the globe. Okay? These digital pilots are happening right now. All right? These trial runs with these digital currencies. It's happening right now. All right? There's a website where you can actually view, the progress and the status, of each nation. A few Arkham have done videos on it, and I believe I've done one some months ago too, where they actually showed you a chart, of all of these nations that are currently taking part in this CBDC, pilot, in this test run. So this is something that is being taken very seriously, and this is something that's going to severely change society and the way that you perceive and know society as it is at this very moment. Okay? So when we scroll down, it says here, the majority of crypto assets are highly speculative assets whose value is extremely volatile because there is nothing behind them. They have no intrinsic value, which is, just like your the currency that we have now, the fiat currency. All right, it's the same thing. It's not backed by anything. Okay, so it's pretty much the same thing, as the the cryptos. Okay, because you can't, go to your bank and give them a £5 note or a £10 note and then ask for an exchange of silver or gold. Okay, because it says on the note, I promise to pay the bearer, the sum of £5 or £10, so on and so forth. That can no longer be done because the gold standard was done away with. Okay, so the money that we have, this fiat currency, all right, is practically the same, as numbers on the screen, all right, but you just have it in, paper form. But they want to get rid of that, all right, and have everything be digital. Okay, so either way you look at it, it's an abomination unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It's a false balance. Let's get that right quick, because that's what Esau deals with. All right, false balances, and Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is not dealing with false balances. Now this is Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 1, and it reads, "A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight." All right, so a false balance is an abomination in the sight of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, man. Okay, the Lord is not dealing with false balances. Now here's another one, Proverbs 20 and verse 23. It says, "Diverse weights are an abomination unto the Lord, and a false balance is not good." All right, a false balance is not good, and that's why Esau's society is unjust and is corrupted, because it operates under false balances. It operates under corruption. It operates under theft. Okay? This is a terrible society that has terrible rulership, being Esau Edom. And that's why Esau is going to be fired. Okay, he's going to be taken out of office, man. He's going to be taken out of his position because he's done a terrible job at governing and ruling the world, because he is the wicked that the Bible speaks of, man. All right. And right quick, let's get Job chapter 9 and verse 24, because this is the reason why he's ruling the world like he is. Now it says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof, if not, where and who is he? All right. So the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked, and we know who the wicked is. All right. It tells us in the book of Malachi, the wicked is you so-called white people. All right. And the heads, of your nation. All right. Well, the head tribe being Amalek. And now you have the elite bankers, okay, that rule the world in secrecy, okay? They rule the world in the shadows. They're the ones that are really, pulling all the shots, all right? Now let's go back to the article. It says here, the digital pound. Did we read this part? Let me read from here. It says, for that reason, they are not suitable and not used for general payment purposes. One can think of them as more akin to a bet than to trusted money. The digital pound would be a safe, trusted form of money accepted for everyday transactions by households and firms, in the same way that Bank of England notes are today. It is of course possible that some of the technologies developed in the crypto world might be useful in the development of a digital pound, but as I will explain later, there is a large range of technologies that are now under consideration. All right. Now let's scroll down. Right. There are already in existence new digital technologies that are being applied to the digital representation, transfer, and storing of money like obligations. These offer the prospect of new possibilities in the way money and payments can be configured, all right, listen close, can be configured to interact with digital processes. Programmable money, for example, could enable the development of smart contracts which carry out specific actions based on predefined actions and conditions. And this programmable money, this term is a big part of this new system that they're bringing in, all right? Because this bleeds into what they call Giselle currency, all right? Now it says here, Silvio Giselle from 1862 to 1930 proposed a system of stamped money in order to accelerate monetary circulation and to free money from interest. This was part of a global socialist system intended to free economy from rent and interest. All right. So it says here, programmable money. So in simple terms, programmable money is digital money that can be programmed to act in a certain way based on predetermined criteria. The first known programmable money was Bitcoin, which emerged in 2009. What is a programmable currency? Programmable money is money with a built-in rules, okay, with built-in rules that comes with constraints for the user. With these rules, money could also be programmed to have an expiration date or be restricted for certain goods, for example. Okay, so that's where everything is heading. All right, they want to put expiry dates on the money that you hold. All right, eventually on your CHIP. All right, on your CBDC currency, it's going to have an expiry date. You're going to have to use it by a particular date. All right, and it also grants them the power to control what you spend your money on. All right, there's already companies out there, credit card companies and debit card companies that are basically saying that, if you run over your carbon footprint, all right, then they'll restrict what you're allowed to spend your money on. All right, this technology is already in effect. Okay, and it's going to be made mandatory. That's why you have all of these independent companies, which really they're not independent. All right, they're all juiced in to the main central hub. But that's why you have all of these companies steering in this direction, because there's a global agenda to bring about this system, this new world order system. Okay, and if you go to somewhere like BitChute or what's the other one, the Odyssey, all right, and you type in Catherine Austin Fitz, she used to work for the White House, and she goes into this information, quite heavy, all right, because she has great insight. She's an insider. Okay, so she was exposed to a lot of information, all right, and she goes into how they're going to program the money to the point where, for example, if you're obese, all right, you're clinically obese, they can program your money to not work in fast food joints. All right. So if you're obese and you remember all your data and your your bodily credentials is going to be on the CHIP. Okay. So, whatever disease you have, any ailments in your body, that's all going to be registered. So if you go in Pizza Hut, for example, KFC, McDonald's, all of these abominable food spots, and you try and buy some food, all right, your money is not going to work in those spots, okay, because they're going to say, look, you fulfilled your carbon footprint for the month, or you're too obese to shop in this place. Then it's going to divert you to go to Whole Foods, man. That's the type of control, all right, that Esau is gonna have over the people. Okay, that you can't spend, the money that you have where you want to spend it. Okay, so this new world order system is going to be very draconian, to say the least. Okay, which is going to be basically a total slave system. Okay, especially onto you tribes. So it says, programmable money, for example, could enable the development of smart contracts which carry out specific actions based on predefined actions and conditions. All right. So there's all kind of, different things you can do with programmable money. All right. It opens up a whole load of doors, for wickedness. Okay. And this is exactly why the wicked, Esau, Edom, want to bring this about. Okay, because it gives them full control of the people. All right, and that's what Mr. Russo, was talking about with Mr. Jones in that interview. All right, they want full control. They want to CHIP the people. All right, they want to control everything that you do. All right, they want to be able to read your mind. They want to be able to tap into your emotions and have you feel the way they want you to feel. Okay. They want to, eventually erase, your belief, all right, in, a higher power. Okay, that's the kind of control that these devils eventually want. And remember, they always use the method of gradualism in order to get these things done. All right, now let's Google that right quick. Gradualism. So it says gradualism, all right, a policy of gradual reform rather than sudden change or revolution, all right. So a policy of gradual reform rather than sudden change or revolution. So if you've been, monitoring what's been happening, the past 10, 5 years, 3 years, okay, Esau has been heavily using the process of gradualism to push a lot of these things that he wants to implement in society. Okay, he does things in stages, and that's what the whole pandemic was all about. Okay, that was like a global census just to see how many people he would be able to give that venom. Okay, and then how many people would succumb to the the MOTB. All right, that gives him a rough gauge of the kind of extent of work that he's going to have to put in to convince the minds of the people to bow down to this system. All right, so that census has already been completed. Okay, so Esau knows how much work he's going to have to put in to be able to pull this off. And you know what? He will pull this off through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, because it's biblical prophecy. Okay? So it says here, as far as the decline of cash is concerned, the immediate response is to make sure cash will remain available to any and all that want to use it. Now here's when the deception comes in. All right, because they're making it seem like, despite whatever happens, all right, they're always going to try their best to make sure that physical, tangible cash is always going to be available for the people to use. All right, which that's a big fat lie. All right, and we're gonna see why, because he contradicts himself. So it says, as far as the decline of cash is concerned, the immediate response is to make sure cash will remain available to any and all that want to use it. The bank has made clear that we will continue to produce it, and the government is taking powers under the Financial Services and Markets Bill to give the Bank of England and FCA new powers to ensure the future effectiveness, resilience, and sustainability of the cash ecosystem. However, we cannot ignore, and here it is, however, we cannot ignore the fact that the safest form of money, public money, that it is to say money issued by the state for general use, will become increasingly less useful and usable and of shrinking relevance to large part of the population. Okay, and you got to remember, to print money, all right, it costs money to print money. Okay, you have to pay people, to come into work to actually, carry out, those tasks. Okay, so soon, that is going to be an irrelevant office that won't need to be fulfilled, because right now people are not using tangible cash. People are using Apple Pay. Okay, people are using, they're not even using credit and debit cards anymore. That's a thing of the past. People are not using checkbooks. That's a thing of the past. Everyone is using their phone for the most part to make payments. Everything is digital already. All right, the percentage of people that's still using tangible cash is very, very small. Okay, it's just like you might go into a shop, for example. This has happened to all of us. You might have something in that shop that you like buying. Let's say, for example, there's a particular drink that you buy, okay? And you can always trust this shop to have this drink, but after a while you go there and then that drink might not be there. Then you go to the owner and you say, oh, what happened to, this drink? Or he might say, well, you was the only one that was buying it. So it doesn't really make sense for me to store it in bulk anymore. All right, because it starts costing them money just to bring it in. And it's going to be the same, with physical and tangible cash. There's going to be no point them printing it out, because such a small percent of the nation is going to be using it, all right, that they're going to be, making a loss, basically. Okay, so this is the same thing that's actually going to happen. So eventually they're going to do away with these things, despite what they're saying in that first paragraph, man. All right, now let's get right quick. Sirach 12 and 10. All right, this is Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10. And it reads, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right, so never trust thine enemy. All right, you cannot trust the devil. You cannot trust the wicked, that the Bible speaks of, man. They will say one thing and then they will turn around a year later, months later, and they'll do the complete opposite of what they said. Okay, that's why you can't trust this devil. Though he humbleth himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. All right, so though he humble himself, he might, come in the spirit like he's trying to, be in your best interest. Okay, and actually facilitate you and make your life easier. No, all right, he's a demon, and he's just playing the part to eventually, destroy you. Okay. Now it says, however, we cannot ignore the fact that the safest form of money, public money, that it is to say money issued by the state for general use, will become increasingly less useful and usable, and of shrinking relevance to a large part of the population. Nor can we ignore the likelihood that we will see the emergence of new forms of money offering new possibilities and issued by new as well as established players. Okay? So right there they're telling you that eventually they cannot ignore the fact that, the printing out of that tangible cash, that physical cash, is going to be no point to it. All right? Because it's not going to be utilized by a large enough portion of society. Okay? And the proof of that is how people are living right now. All right? People do not be using cash like that, man. There's some stores that don't even take cash no more. All right? You got particular Tesco's that are going completely cashless. All right? Everywhere you go, they're opening up more self checkouts. Okay? Which shows you that was a form of gradualism. That whole self-checkout spirit, making you check out things yourself. That was just, conditioning you for the Amazon Go. That's all that was. Every store I go into now, every Tesco, Sainsbury's, they're opening more and more self-checkouts, and there's less and less of the big checkouts that you usually have. Some mega stores now, well, we call them you have like Tesco Extras. There used to be like 20 tills in there. You with people on them. Now there might just be 3 or 4 or 5 if you're lucky. Then you will see huge queues of people that might not want to use the self-checkout. Okay, so again, that was all forms of gradualism, man, and conditioning you to what they're eventually going to introduce to you and make mandatory. All right, so it says the digital pound will not be an anonymous bearer instrument like cash, but physical cash will remain available to those who wanted to use it. Again, that's another lie. All right, because eventually, what you have to understand, let's say even if they didn't completely stop printing the cash, so much aspects of society is going to be cashless, all right, that you're not going to be able to even use cash if you want to, because you have stores that just don't accept cash, and they're within their right to do so. Okay, and that's what happened, during the pandemic. Okay, particular stores were just not accepting cash because it was being pushed that the plague could travel on the cash. Therefore, it was deemed unsafe. So they demonized tangible money. Okay, so again, even if they wasn't to stop printing it, so on and so forth, you couldn't use it anyway because so much businesses around you have acclimatized to the new way of being. All right. So again, it said the digital pound will not be an anonymous bearer instrument like cash, but physical cash would remain available to those who wanted to use it. Now, this term, anonymous bearer, it goes into it here. So it goes, it says a bearer instrument. So a bearer instrument or bearer bond is a type of fixed income security in which no ownership information is recorded, and the security is issued in physical form to the purchaser. The holder of a bearer instrument is presumed to be the owner, and whoever is in possession of the physical bond is entitled to the coupon payments. All right, so that's the physical cash that you can still get now. All right, your £5, your £10 notes, or if you're over there in America, your $1 bill, $100 bill, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's a bearer instrument. All right. Now let me go back to this bit. It says the digital pound will not be as an anonymous bearer instrument. So an anonymous bearer instrument is basically you having physical cash, all right, because you're anonymous, all right? It can't be traced back to you, okay, because it's not on a CHIP. Now, when you have, the CBDC currency set up, if they've issued you, for example, using the benefit system, the UBI, if they've issued you, for example, $900 or £900 on your CHIP, that is attached to you. That is attached to your likeness. That's attached to your name. Wherever you spend it, there's going to be a trail that goes back to you. Okay, so that is not an anonymous bearer instrument. Okay, cash is an anonymous bearer instrument. You can use it and it can't be traced back to you. That's why some people, they can work cash in hand without being on the system. So they can earn money without getting taxed. Okay, and they prefer that because it's better for them because they earn more money. But you can't do that in the MOTB system. Okay, because the money is always going to be attached to you and how you got it and what you spent it on. If you made a transaction with someone, you can always trace that back to you. And that's what the blockchain was all about. All right. So let me go back to that. It says the bearer instrument. Now look, check out. It says the key takeaways. It says a bearer instrument is a type of fixed income security in which no ownership information is recorded, and the security is issued in physical form to the purchaser. It says the holder of a bearer instrument is presumed to be the owner, and whoever is in possession of the physical bond is entitled to the coupon payments. Issuers of a bearer form security keep no record of who owns the security, which means the security is traded without a record of ownership. All right, that's your circulationary notes. Okay, ownership is transferred by simply transferring the certificate, and there is no requirement for reporting the transfer. It has not been legal to issue bearer instruments in the U.S. Municipal or corporate market since 1982. All right, and basically, when you go into the charagma and you go into the root words, you go to grapho, that goes into the information. All right, because Esau wants that information. All right, he doesn't want you to be anonymous anymore. He wants you to be tracked on the grid. And you know what? Since I mentioned it, we might as well bring it out. Let's bring it out right quick and we'll get straight to the point. This is Revelations 13 and 16. And Salakia, if this video is a bit long and drawn out, but like I said, there's a lot of information, and I've skipped out, a lot. All right, because it would just make the video, way too long. But who knows? I might just do a part 2, if the Spirit wills. So this is Revelations 13 and 16. Let's get straight to the point. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right. So let's go into this word mark, and let's go into the root word. So you have karux, and then let's go into the grapho. All right. Let's go to the root word of that. So
Strong's G 1125. Grapho.
Now it says to write, writing, to describe, to write with reference to the form of the letters. All right, so that goes into the information that's going to be on the CHIP. All right, the information that links you, all your information to the CHIP and to the beast system. Okay, so everything about you, all right, is going to be on that CHIP. All right, there's going to be nothing anonymous about it. All right, there's nothing that you can do without Esau Edom knowing about it, without the elites knowing about it, man. Okay, wherever you spend your money on is going to be tracked. Wherever you was is going to be, you're going to be tracked. Everything you do. Okay. Let's see if we can finish this off. It says neither the government nor the bank would program a digital pound or restrict how it was spent. Instead, the bank would provide the infrastructure and minimum functionality for the private sector to provide programmability features for users. Those features would require user consent. Yeah, in the beginning. All right. Again, gradualism. All right. They put all of these things out there to make you feel at ease. But then once you get used to that way of being, all right, a year later, 2 years later, they take away that ability. Okay. And that's how Esau does things. Again, that's why scriptures say, never trust thine enemy. Okay. As with banknotes and many current accounts, no interest will be paid on a digital pound. Its purpose would be as a means of transaction, to make and receive payments, rather than as a savings product. Nor, again, you will own nothing and you will be happy. All right. So the ability to save money, that's going to be totally eradicated and done away with. And we're going to see how right down here. It says, nor do we see the digital pound as a monetary policy instrument, and as such it would, like cash, have neither positive or negative remuneration. All right. Now we'll get this last bit, and then we'll get into a few more scriptures, and then we'll close out. Now it says here, we cannot, of course, know the ex ante, how households and businesses would respond to a digital pound and how much they would want to hold. We therefore propose that to manage financial stability risks, initially at any rate, the digital pound would need to be designed in a way that enabled some restrictions to be placed on amount an individual or business could hold. It says, we propose a limit of between £10,000 and £20,000 per individual. As the inappropriate balance between managing risk and supporting wide usability of the digital pound, a limit of £10,000 would mean that 3/4 of people could receive their pay in digital pounds, while a £20,000 limit would allow almost everyone to receive their pay in digital pounds, keeping outflows from the banking system broadly within the assumptions set out in the bank's earlier modeling work. So here's a perfect example of you will own nothing and you will be happy. All right. So with this particular currency that they're looking to put in place, they're going to put a cap on how much you can actually own of the currency. All right. Again, going into Giselle currency and going into the expiry date that they can put on the currency. Okay. So this is pure slavery. All right. This is pure slavery. All right. And you people can't see, what's happening right before your eyes. Okay. And you still got camps and groups out there, all right, that are unable, to come to the understanding of the MOTB in such a serious and dire time that we're currently living in right now. All right. But that's all of the spirit of Yahweh Shim Yahweh Shai anyway. All right. So let's get into a few other scriptures and then we'll close out. Now this is Romans, not Romans, this is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. And it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. All right. So everything that we've been going through, concerning their plans and concerning their agenda, all right, is all leading to slavery and the control of the people. All right. And that's an unrighteous decree. All right. These are unrighteous decrees that they're decreeing upon the people. All right. And many of these policies and these changes, in the law, so on and so forth, they're done in a very subtle way. All right. And that's why there's so much, bread and circuses in society, to distract you from the things that really matter. Okay. Esau's doing that all day, every day, man. All right. He be passing particular policies, things you will never look up. All right. Things that you will never even think to look up is being passed, to further, push you into a point of servitude, man. Okay. Now this is Psalms 94 and verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? And that's exactly what they're doing. They're framing mischief, by these laws and these policies that they're putting into place, man. All right. And let's look up this word, mischief, and let's see what it says. It says trouble, labor, mischief, all right, iniquity, all right, and that's what they're framing. All right, because what they're doing, it's a real evil work, man. All right, and people don't understand that the more and more, these devils, get to set up and implement these particular policies and ways of life, is the more and more they're trapping and enslaving you, without you knowing. All right, but the elect of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, all right, then we're not gonna succumb to these tactics, man. All right, let's get that right quick in Revelations 3:10. All right, and this is our hope, that Yahweh Shem Yahushai keeps us from this terrible time. Now, this is Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10, and it reads, "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth." All right? So Yahweh Shem Yahushai is going to keep us from the hour of temptation. He's going to keep us from that dreadful time that's going to manifest itself in these last days. Okay? It tells us, in Isaiah that, the servants of Yahweh Shem Yahushai shall eat. So you have to have faith and you have to trust in that. Okay? You have to trust in the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. Okay? You have to believe that you're of the elect. You have to believe and have great hope in the saving power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. Especially in these last days, man. All right? So with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. And until the next one, I'll say shalom.